back to Pillow Talk with Dr. Zackarina, your podcast that is dedicated to all the intimate conversations here on our beautiful little pink couch. We talk about all things safer sex, safer drug use, partying, fun, relationships, you name it, where we have fun, different guests each week. And this week, we actually have a very special episode. We are having a takeover episode, one of the first of its kind, with our friends over at TBD Health that are going to be here to chat with us about all the amazing things that they're doing, as well as talking about all the importance around STI testing and safer sex, okay? So make sure that you're following us online at Pillow Talk Dr. Z. That's Pillow Talk and then DRZ. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, because these new episodes come out weekly every Tuesday. So make sure, mark your calendar, put it on your, reminders every week, whatever you got to do. So before we get going, make sure you pour yourself up a nightcap, get into your PJs, snuggle up, and get ready for some pillow talk with me, Dr. Zackarina. And I'm so excited to introduce our beautiful guest that's here next to me. Everybody, round of applause for Stephanie from TBD Health. You can't hear it at home, but the live studio audience is going crazy right now. They're guys, calm down, please. Stephanie is one of the co-founders of TBD Health, which is an amazing non-judgmental STI clinic and healthcare service that is not only in Denver, but also has a location out in Vegas, which is super amazing. And so Stephanie is a Colorado local, born in Boulder, back here in Colorado, helping serve our community. And so I'm so excited to have you today so we can talk all things sexual health. So thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. Here at Pillow Talk, we always like to start off with what we call a pillow confession, which is something that is a story, an anecdote, maybe just insight into who you are that you want to share with the entire world, the crew. So something that people might have learned a lot from, something that might have been really silly, whatever it might be. We always like to start with some pillow confession. And I know you have kind of a pillow confession for us.
I do, yeah. So my pillow confession's a little bit serious. I hope that's okay.
Yes.
But it really talks about, it kind of really represents why my co-founder and I started TBD Health. So, we really wanted to make sexual health feel human and non-judgmental and like something that felt very supportive versus stigmatizing. And that was because both of us had had these awful experiences. So particularly for myself in college, I had all these moments where I wasn't sure what to do. And one moment in particular for me was when I was forced into having sex without a condom. And for me, that was sort of this big moment where the person I was with was incredibly hot, and I kind of just went with it, and spent that night kind of going to the pharmacy to get Plan B and freaking out about STIs afterwards. And I felt very alone in that moment, and really wanted to create something that felt supportive and like someone's partner with sexual health, so they wouldn't have to kind of feel how I felt. So both that, along with my co-founder, we just had these awful experiences, and that's what we really wanted to change.
And I think that's, first off, thank you so much for sharing. And unfortunately, it's such a story that we hear so many times.
So common.
And it's
that is not unique at all.
It isn't. And I think that's what sucks the most is the fact that healthcare is not set up in a way that supports and educates to its fullest degree, right? Like in a way that like truly supports people. I've had, my fair share of negative healthcare experiences. I've gone in, I famously have had gonorrhea twice, at least I'm consistent. And I luckily have gotten tested and, got that positive. So then I went to get treatment just from like an urgent care. And every time I am shamed for not using condoms. And it's like, I am on PrEP. I get tested regularly. I, have conversations with partners, and STIs happen. But one of my first ever times having condomless sex, I was in college, went to the health center there, and it was a very similar experience that I'd had of like, after I'd had it, I immediately, not only was I confused and scared, but also waves of shame and guilt and this idea of like, oh, I did a bad thing. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I'm a bad person. And then when I went to go get that care, I wasn't supported, during it, while I was very obviously going like in distress. Like I just, in the end, it ended up not being a serious situation at all. The person that I had condom sex with was so kind and amazing and like was able to help talk me through and have conversations of like, I'm on PrEP. Let me tell you what that means, because I hadn't heard of that at that point. And I remember going to like and being like, shout out for being awfully inaccessible. I walked in, was like crying to the person at the front. They did not care. And I was like, I can't have my parents know. So like, let's not do insurance. And then they're like, cool, that's $400. And I said, oh, went to my car, so I understand that like these places operate on certain ways and they have to like get that money somehow. But yeah, it's the first time I ever was exploring these resources for sexual health. I did not know what I was doing. You Google it and a CDC page pops up and you're like, this is confusing as hell.
And then let me read this whole 20-page document to try to figure out what to do.
And then start getting freaked out because now I'm like, it's telling me 50,000 STIs and I'm like, cool, I have all of them, and it's like, I don't know anything that's going on. And so I'm curious to know, what was then kind of after having these experiences that you and your co-founder had that are very common, what was that process of like, you know what, no, we're going to actually create this change. We're going to be a part of the solution. What did that journey look like?
Yeah. I mean, we both just got really frustrated and felt like we could, do it better. And I think in general, there's the healthcare element, but then in that moment, I was so upset at myself because I had crossed a boundary that I had set for myself. And those are conversations that we don't typically have, right? We don't typically either with our healthcare provider or otherwise sort of think about, okay, what are the boundaries that I have for myself, or I hadn't done that, and then enforce those boundaries. So that was something that I really wanted to do personally. And then with TBD, we just we felt as though it was very easy to offer better sexual health services. So we started doing at-home testing. We're live with at-home testing in 49 different states right now. New York, New York is the one holdout, so hopefully New York is coming soon. But the benefit is like you actually can get tested from the comfort and privacy of your home. So. You can order whatever test you think is right for you, or we can help you figure that out. You get a kit that's sent to you. We collect samples so we can test for all different types of STIs, and then you send back your samples. Our lab processes them, and then we give you your results and a prescription if that's appropriate. And so all those barriers that really can hold people back from testing. So whether it's their parents finding out or they're not quite sure where to go or cost, we really felt as though at home helped solve a lot of those barriers and make it better. And then we started in person. So we started our Vegas clinic. That was supposed to be a 3-month pop-up for us. And it's now going on 2 years, and then Denver opened about a year ago now.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
I'm such an advocate for at-home testing. I am somebody who uses at-home testing methods, and it's something that I am very grateful for, of having that ability and knowing of the resources like TBD, where I can get what I need at an affordable rate and in the comfort and privacy of my own home. Because first off, taking the time off work to go to a doctor appointment is difficult, finding the places, having to deal with people. And so being able to do that sample collection at home, I'm such an advocate for it. I am someone who also, like, I don't necessarily recommend, if this is your first time ever getting tested, I'm like, go and talk to somebody. And I love that y'all have, especially here in Denver, the option to go in for the young Zacks of the world that like were terrified, didn't know what was going on. And, all the articles aren't leading me in any direction, for someone to sit me down and be like, woo, let's breathe together, you know, and have a conversation about what we need, what we don't need, and get that support on top of it. And then for the pros out there, I'm somebody now who has taken a lot of control over my sexual health since 2019 at this point. That's when I started like getting on PrEP and things like that. I'm so comfortable and confident. I'm a pro at pricking my own finger. I rock at it. I'm a good bleeder for that. I am great at, like, I think my record is probably like less than 20 minutes doing a full kit. Like, it's
That's awesome.
And they're so simple to do, but I'm also like, I appreciated my first time doing STI testing, having a human, even though it's still me going to the bathroom and peeing in the cup, or, you know, taking the swabs on my own and doing these things, minus, you know, finger prick versus blood draw. It was just nice to know, like, there's a human outside this door for when I am starting to freak out, when I don't know what's going on, when I need just to see another face for a second, you know, in the middle of it all, because it can kind of be a little daunting doing an STI test for the first time. Yeah,
absolutely. So I want to get your tips on finger pricks and what you do. But you're exactly right. And that's something that we really care deeply about, is our hybrid model, so in person and at home, really lets us meet the patient wherever they feel most comfortable. And if that's at home, if that's in person, regardless. And so that's like something that we really pride ourselves on, is being accessible in lots of different formats to kind of maximize patient comfort.
I love that.
But
for at-home stuff, do you offer telehealth?
Yeah,
as well?
We do. Yeah, so we do telehealth, and we have some of the most comprehensive at-home tests on the market. So we test for things that most doctors haven't even heard of. So like Mycoplasma genitalium, we have at-home kits that do that, along with HPV, BV, all your kind of typical STIs. So yeah.
And that's very rare. I think, to my knowledge, in Denver, most like STI testing clinics and places stop at what I call like the big five of like HIV, Hep C, syphilis, chlamydia, gonorrhea.
Yep.
And most of the time, too, chlamydia, gonorrhea is harder to find. So the fact that you all offer, because in my day job, I do work for like sexual health, you know, situations, and sometimes we'll get people that are like, I did all my testing and I'm having these weird symptoms. It's not chlamydia and gonorrhea. And we're like, there are other STIs out there. There could be myriad of different things. And that's why it's nice and helpful to have a provider, like somebody that can give you that medical advice, like have that conversation with you, because there might be other STIs, and there are other STIs that exist. Denver is a hub of lots of different people coming in and out. And with that comes different fun surprises.
Well, and different sites. I mean, I could talk about this for forever, but I don't think I've ever been asked by a doctor outside of TBD if I have oral or anal sex. I've never been asked that in my whole life. And you should be getting tested in all the different sites that you're having sex.
Yes.
You know,
I always say get a swab wherever you're having sex at. If you're having oral sex, we need to swab your mouth, right? If you're having anal sex, we need to, do swabs in all these places. I think sometimes too, it's such a going through the motions through like normal healthcare spaces or like traditional healthcare spaces where they will just be like, okay, you are an AMAB individual. You are assigned male at birth. You are a mass presenting individual. Go pee in the cup and that's it. And it's like, that could not even give any picture depending on people's sexual preferences, right? And like positions or sexuality, gender identity, things like that. And I think too, big one, terrible experiences that so many queer people have had in healthcare settings of walking in and getting the, okay, but what's in your pants question, right? That is deterred so many queer people. Lots of people that I know, and especially people a part of the trans community under the trans umbrella, where it's like, I know I need to go get tested, but I cannot have the nurse say, well, you're a guy when, you know, it's a trans woman. Like these experiences where it's like, there are ways where we can talk about anatomy and biology without invalidating gender and being not trauma informed. And
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's not taught in medical school.
No.
So
clock it. You're so right.
Yeah.
It is not taught. We've had medical students come by at my work, and we'll talk about like safer sex education and stuff. And they're like, what does AMAB and AFAB mean?
And you're
I'm like,
how are you?
How are you about to go become a doctor and you don't know how to talk to queer people about things, to talk to trans people, or even just talk to people that are terrified, you know? And like, you now are not looking up, you're just staring at a clipboard, talking through, checking off things. And it's like, there's a person freaking out in front of you, right? For whatever reason it might be. I've been testing a lot of, or like working with people that have been getting STI testing that have been first time testers recently. And a lot of straight guys in college. And it's a very sweet population where they're so kind, but there's just that nerve of they just don't know what's going on. And it's that like, sometimes providers go through motions so fast. And it's nice to have that check-in of like, wait, did you understand what I meant by that? Like why it's important for us to swab orally,
or what you're getting tested for, different even what the names are, and
even conversations too. I think cis het people especially, there's so much stigma with HIV, right? HIV is something that has historically been known as the gay disease, et cetera, et cetera. There are so many cis het people that do not get tested or have not been tested for HIV, and if you're a sexually active person, like that's something you should be getting tested for regularly. It should be a part of those tests and reminding people or having that opportunity of education where it's like, oh no, I'm straight though, so I don't need to. And it's no, we all need to. Especially with so many stats that are showing changes in STI rates and, different communities. And I remember there was a nurse that I had once talked with, and apparently it's a joke in the nursing community of like straight men only get tested when there's a problem. Like it's only when that problem comes up. And having that convo of like, no, testing is preventative. Like,
well, and it's one of the best things you can do with a partner too, right?
Yes.
It's like, it's something that you can do with your partners, and I think really shows that you like care about yourself and others.
I love that. I have always sworn by, and I've said it a million times. I've said it my entire career, my entire drag career. Cute date idea. Go get tested together.
I love it.
Don't stop it at the testing. People are like, that's a bad date idea. I'm like, don't just get tested. I'm like, that's can be a very quick interaction. I'm like, get dinner, get ice cream afterwards, get a movie. Make it fun. More time after it. But why not?
I love it. We actually in our Denver clinic we have a partner room. So people can actually like come in and sit with their partners, and we have multiple chairs, and we'll interview them each separately just to make sure that we're getting the full story. But then if both of them consent, bring them together, and and you can get tested with all your partners.
Because sometimes it's nice to just like have a friend there, have a buddy, have another familiar face, especially if it's someone's first time.
For sure.
I love this. We're going to move into one of our segments. Since I've got you here, I want to pick your brain on a whole bunch of different things. I have some red flags and green flags. And we're going to play a red flag, green flag game of I'm going to read out a bunch of different statements. And then we're going to decide if we think that's a green flag or if we think that's a red flag.
Okay.
There might be some like yellow flags, and I think we can totally discuss what we think about it. So are you ready to red flag, green flag it up?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay. Our first statement is they never skip out on a sweet treat.
Like a brownie? Or...
Like getting ice cream, getting a sweet treat.
Yes.
I am
definitely
so pro sweet treats.
Yes.
Green flag. It's a red flag if somebody is like, no, we shouldn't have a sweet treat.
Yes, absolutely. Agree.
Okay. My next one is they refuse to wear a condom.
Red flag.
Yep.
Red flag.
I think, and it's very interesting in the queer MSM community, men who have sex with men, condom usage has decreased a lot. Condom usage across the board statistically has decreased a lot recently. And if you have a preference for condom usage of not using condoms, there are so many other forms of prevention that exist. PrEP, DoxyPEP, which stands for doxycycline post-exposure prophylaxis. Basically, you take doxycycline within like 72 hours of having sex, and it reduces your risk of those bacterial STIs, which is amazing. Getting tested, having conversations with your partner. There's like so many methods where condoms aren't the end all be all, but if a partner has expressed that they want condom usage, that's the expectation. Yeah.
And it goes all back to, you set do what you think is right for you and what, yeah, absolutely.
And I think especially too with such a hookup culture that exists in the world, this is not a controversial, but it's a statement that has nuance to it of like, you don't owe anybody sex, right? Like we don't owe anybody anything. I think sometimes people take a statement like you don't owe anybody anything as an opportunity to maybe be like rude or mean to other people. And it's like, well, we want to, make sure that we're treating people in our general life with kindness of, well, I don't owe this person on the street anything. And it's like, okay, but don't push the person at the bus stop, But I think it's so important of like, you don't owe somebody sex. Like if someone comes over and you're not feeling them, weird feeling in your tummy, something has happened, a bad interaction, like just because maybe they drove from, Boulder down to Denver doesn't mean that you owe them sex now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So important. I got other ones. We have so many. Green flag, red flag. They believe that Bigfoot is real. What's your take on this?
Like real?
Like they're like, I believe Bigfoot is real.
I think that's a red flag.
I say red flag too. My trauma with a lowercase t, very lowercase t, is I dated a guy that believed Bigfoot was real, and he had believed that he had like interacted with him of like he was like hiking and there was like a tree that was like broken and then we went back, there was no tree there. And he's like, I think I saw Bigfoot there.
So my dad when we would go camping, used to tell me Bigfoot stories, but it would be totally a joke.
Yeah.
Totally a joke.
You're like, there's no way.
But I like grew up like terrified of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But now you're like, I know there's no Bigfoot.
Yes.
Yeah. I had this person that believed in Bigfoot. He was also somebody that had like was not fully truthful about his like sexual history, his medical history with me. So I was like, okay, is the red flag that like not believing in Bigfoot? I don't know. But I was also like, that's just a wild. He was like
dead set on.
Yeah, he was like, no, I'm not kidding around. And I was like, oh. I was like, okay. We don't. I'm not gonna push you on that one. But yeah, bless it. Another statement, they prioritize you over their friends.
I think that's a red flag.
Okay, tell me more.
I think friendships are really important, and I think it's really important that people are like themselves and like fully themselves in a relationship versus like totally subsumed by someone else.
Fully agree. So, I would also put that as a red flag of like, there's one thing to make sure that they are prioritizing you in their life, right? Like in like making sure that you're not an afterthought or things like that. But when it's the fully like they've prioritized you over other things and maybe have like, will no longer hang out with their friends or things like that. It's like, ooh, now we're getting into this is
like a little needy.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just again, you shouldn't feel like an afterthought, but you shouldn't be that person's only world. Yeah. Because then that starts to get a little, woo. Yeah. Another one. I think I know your answer for this one. They think getting tested together is a cute date idea.
Absolutely green.
Yeah. I think.
Love that.
Go to TBD Health to get tested together. Where are y'all located in Denver area?
Yeah. So we're by Coors Stadium.
Oh, there's so many fun things to do over there, too.
21st and Larimer. Yeah, there's a lot of fun things to do. And you can also do it from home. So not in Denver, you can always do it from home.
Okay, so home date idea, I think do it, and then maybe movie night.
Yeah, movie night. You can have brownies, ice cream, whatever sweet treat you want.
Brownie bar, like a sundae bar. And then if you want to do it in person, I mean, there's so many like restaurants and bars and places. I mean, hell, you could even pair it with going to a baseball game.
Baseball game. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
So many opportunities. So Valentine's Day next year, TBD Health is the first stop. And then the second stop is one of the places downtown or at home doing it first. I just stand by it. I think it's such a cute date idea.
Love that. Yeah.
And then it just gets everybody off on, I think, a foot of like clear communication and like setting this precedent and this importance of an important convo that if you want to get serious with somebody, you got to be able to have that. You got to be, you got to do it. Another one, they won't share their status with you or they won't share when they were last tested.
I think that's That's a red flag.
Yeah.
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 And, you know, if it's been a while, it's all about their attitude about getting tested, like, proactively now. But, like, and it's okay if it's been a while. It's just, how do they act now?
Yeah. I think, like, when, especially on hookup apps that exist in the world, the Grinders of the world, the Sniffies, the Tinder, if this is something that you bring up and you get somebody that continues to deflect, they continue to not tell you their status, I think, or, you know, have a conversation about sexual health, it is one of those things where if you're getting weird vibes, if you're getting the, like, questionable, then maybe this isn't the person that we need to be.
Trust your instinct.
Yeah, trust the
Always.
gut. I have IBS and
Always.
even I still trust my gut. You know, I'm like, I know not to mess around with, if I don't feel good about a situation, there's so many other fish in the sea, you know?
Absolutely.
I think, and there's it's okay to, if maybe there's a long period where you haven't been tested, then let's talk about it. Let's get tested.
Yep.
Let's go on that date. Another one too, they say, I can just tell I'm clean. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. Obviously.
Right.
Obviously.
And I think there's like two red flags in there. The first is the, like, I can just tell. You cannot tell with STIs. There are asymptomatic STIs out there. I have been a person who has had asymptomatic STIs and have gone a while without getting tested because I did not know. And luckily I get tested quarterly. I always say, like, the golden rule is after every partner, like in a perfect world. My more realistic rule, my silver rule that I say, is the rule of 3. Every 3 partners, every 3 months, whichever comes first is usually a good check-in. But at that point, I hadn't hit my 3 partners, so I was waiting until the 3rd month, and I had an STI for a while. So yeah, the idea of, like, I just know.
Majority of chlamydia and gonorrhea is actually asymptomatic, so you don't know.
No.
Yeah.
And especially, like, both are going around in Denver. There is an uptick in chlamydia. There's an uptick in gonorrhea, and so getting tested regularly is so important. The other red flag in there is the word clean.
Yeah.
Hate.
Yep.
What's your take when it comes to language and, like, sexual health?
So, I mean, in the space, I think, like, it's obviously very problematic to use the word clean or dirty or so definitely red flag. And I would more take that as, like, a moment to be like, hey, like, let's talk about the use of language and not have it be a total deal breaker. But, like, this is, you know, let's talk about it. But just assuming that just being like, I'm clean, trust me, is not definitely a red flag for me.
Yeah, I call it the, like, like, frat boy instinct of, like, yeah, I'm good. And it's like, no, Chad, you might not be. And that's okay. And we'll get tested. I think clean for me is such a, like, stigmatizing word that it makes my skin crawl a little bit. And I am also in the boat of so many people, it's just ingrained into culture, and it's ingrained into, like, the speediness of texting of, like, you clean? Yeah. You know, like that, like, just quick exchange rather than being like, have you been tested? Right. And this idea of, like, STIs being dirty just reinforces that stigma. And I remember when I had gotten my, you know, gonorrhea diagnosis, I felt like I was dirty. I felt like that, you know, because that's the language that was used. And then when you learn that all STIs are treatable or curable, and you're like, wait a second. This is so manageable. And common.
So common.
What's the stat? Like 50% of people, like 18 to 20 something, are getting STIs or something like that?
Yeah, 20 million new STIs in the US every single year.
Right.
And that doesn't count things like herpes, which I mean most people have oral herpes, so
exactly. Yeah. And so
it's like 89% of people.
Exactly. And I think just the clean and dirt, like, then you get into good and bad. And I'm a big believer too of, like, even with our safer sex principles and practices and, like, resources, there's no such thing as safe or unsafe. Like, I personally hate, did you have safe sex? Like, girl, what does that mean? I'm on PrEP, they're on birth control. Does that count as safe sex? Or is it just condom, like sex with a condom? That's why I will always try really hard to say, like, condomless sex, because condomless sex can still have levels of safety to it of PrEP, birth control, testing, communication, clear bound, like, so many different methods that exist. Spermicide, does anybody even have that anymore? I'm like, you know, there's so many things that, like, when we start to say clean dirty, we start to create this, like, binary, safe,
Yep.
unsafe. And it's
Yep.
like, no, there's
When it's
so
just
much.
different levels of different things. Yeah.
Exactly. Like
Yep.
who's quote unquote safer, the person who uses a condom but no other methods, or the person who knows their partner status, knows their status, has had a conversation, gets tested, all these
Yep.
other things.
Yep.
Maybe more traditional spaces would say the person that used a condom. And it's like, no.
But look at all,
Like,
look at all this other stuff.
There's
and,
9 other things
yeah.
we just named, you
Yeah.
know? Another one, they ask what makes you feel safe and comfortable in bed.
Communication.
Such a green flag.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I think some people get really,
that.
like, not turned off by, but nervous about conversations around, like, sex and boundaries and things like that. But I have seen on TikTok, like, sexual health educators or people in, like, porn or kink industries or fields or kind of, like, circles. And I've seen people do it in ways where they're like, this is how you have a conversation around consent. That's hot and doesn't, quote unquote, kill the moment. And then their bottom line is always like, even if it kills the moment, hopefully your connection can rebuild the moment. Like there's this idea of like, it killed the moment. It's like, maybe that person wasn't the right person to be having sex with if that conversation fully shuts stuff down.
Well, and I hear that question. I think that person is also probably asking you about what you like in bed.
Yeah.
And what turns you on. And those are also conversations that are just as important as some of the other ones.
Yeah,
So,
like sex should be pleasurable for everybody.
Yeah.
Like people,
Yeah.
you should enjoy it. It's a fun activity. And knowing what your partner likes, what they don't like is so important. I mean, even in the same way of like, if a partner doesn't like, certain foods, then you just want to know that about that person so you don't surprise them with super garlicky dinner and they're like, oof, you're like, or you got them lobster ravioli and they're like, I hate seafood, right? Like, we don't want to do that. Another one for you. They believe Mercury in retrograde is a valid excuse for bad decisions.
Well, I use this excuse.
Me too.
So I'm going to say green flag.
Me too. I was writing that one down and I was like, I do be saying that now.
Yeah, I definitely, yes.
Because sometimes it's Mercury,
It is.
And, and that's okay. And that's so okay.
Yeah, exactly. Bad day, Mercury in retrograde. Yes.
Yep. And sometimes that's the reason. And then when Mercury's out of retrograde, if there's no bad decisions, then it's like, see, it was Mercury. It's not me at all. Another one, they clap when the plane lands.
Oh, that's, I mean, I would judge. It wouldn't be a red flag, but I would judge.
It would definitely be like a yellow. I think especially now with all the news of like planes and stuff right now, I kind of would be clapping when the plane lands. So I think before I'd be like, but now I'm like, I feel that.
We made it. Yes.
Literally.
Yeah.
So now we're getting more into the ones that I think are like, could go either way. The more like controversial ones. So they know their exact body count. They know the exact number of people that they've slept with. Red flag, green flag, yellow flag, beige flag.
I don't know. I guess I could go either way. Yeah.
I think for me, I'm also the same. Like either way. I think there are some people that have had a lot of partners in their life, And it's like, I've had 2 partners in my life. And it's like, okay, that's easy to keep track of, I know I used to be somebody that kept a full list of like body count, including like name/descriptors. And it was not healthy for me because then it was like seeing that list and then like I wasn't at a point where like I was comfortable with how I was expressing myself sexually. And so then it's like, whoa, this is a long list. I don't like that, or it's like, I don't have names on this list or like losing track of the number and then equating that number to worth was like, So that's where like whenever I'm like body count as a whole, I think it's just such a poor topic, a poor judgment of anything. Because I'm also like someone with a low body count could also, I think people will assume like, oh, that means you're bad at sex. And it's like, you can still be good at sex because say you have one partner, but y'all are going at it. Like,
Yeah.
You can still be good
you
good
can
at
have one
sex.
partner for 10 years and
Exactly. Versus the person that's had, 20 partners, 50, 100 partners, but they're having less sex than the other person. Who's better at sex? Everybody sucks at sex, really, is the end all be all. But I think body count's a weird thing.
It needs context.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I hate the people on the street interviews where they're like, what's your body count? And it's like, oh, why are we asking a stranger that?
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. I think, that's not for me. I think body count as a whole is a red flag. It's like equivalent in my mind to like the concept of like purity with virginity, where it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
We're still saying that? Yeah. Another one. Someone says that they're bad at texting, but they're always active on social media. They say I'm bad at texting, but are always
and that's
active.
their excuse for like not texting you back, or that's red flag. That's red flag.
Because I'm a person that is bad at texting. I do the thing where I'm like, oh, I need to respond to this, but I want to do it when I have more time to like focus, and then I'll forget about the message. But I'm also like, that's not an excuse. Being a bad texter just means you're not prioritizing that person.
Yeah. And look, if you call them and instead and like then totally fine. But if it's just kind of like an excuse to ignore you a little bit, then
then I'm always like, okay, what's going on? But if it's the like I don't text anybody kind of person, then, like I think about that where they're like, I don't even text like my parents or my roommates or anything like that, and it's like, oh cool, you just hate texting. And then my final one for you.
These were fun. These were good.
Pretty good. A nice little variety.
I like them.
This last one, I have a clear answer. They refuse to date anyone who doesn't like Shrek movies.
Oh, Shrek movies. Have I seen Shrek movies? I don't know.
For me, it's a green flag. I also would not date anyone that hasn't seen the Shreks. You haven't seen the Shreks?
I think I've seen maybe one.
That's the Shreks, though. You've at least really like Shrek 1 and Shrek 2. Those are the ones that you got to see with the fairy godmother.
Yeah. Maybe. I think I've seen but.
Well, now I have.
There you go.
Our date idea is we're going to order a TBD Health at-home kit. And we're going to be watching all the Shreks.
Yes. Sounds good.
I love it. Oh my gosh. We got through a lot of red flags and green flags. Now everybody at home, you all should know, being able to distinguish through some of these. Before we wrap up our episode, there is one other little segment I want to get into with you, which is our advice column. It's all about... we get some different submissions from people asking for advice and support. And I think with you as an expert, as somebody who has had not only personal experiences, but also these professional experiences and being able to help support people in their sexual health journey, you're going to be great at being able to give the people some really good advice. So this is our advice column called Dear Dr. Z. So we got a couple of different things that we can chat through. The first one is Dear Dr. Dear Dr. Zackarina. I've never done an STI test before and don't even know where to start. I want to protect myself more, but I'm scared that I might have an STI and not know it. What do I do? From first-time tester.
Come to TBD.
Come to TBD.
We'll take care of you.
Yes.
Get tested.
Someone walks through the door. What could they expect?
Yeah. So walk in the door. Our clinic is meant to feel not like any other clinic you've been into. So it's made to feel very human and approachable, and there's lots of colors. It doesn't feel like a sterile, kind of serious place.
So nice.
You walk in, you're greeted by our front desk manager, who is awesome, and will kind of chat you up a little bit and make you feel comfortable. You'll then do an intake form, which you can do in private on your phone. It will ask you a bunch of questions about kind of your sexual history, your sex life, and then you'll go back and meet one of our clinicians. All of our clinicians are sensitivity trained, trauma informed, non-judgmental. They've heard it all. You don't have to be worried about telling us something that we've heard it all. And
That's so true, though.
and
It is fear of like, my situation's the wildest, and it's like, we've probably heard 20 of them.
We've definitely heard it. And then we'll figure out what tests are right for you. And there's different ways that we can collect samples. So we'll either do a blood draw or a urine sample or a swab. And then you're all set.
I love it.
Yeah, we'll give you some water if you want water.
Nice.
You can bring a friend, partners,
How long would you say from like time you walk in to time you leave is somebody spending?
Yeah, so it's pretty quick. We can do it in 20 minutes.
Period.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. If you have lots of questions, then we'll take longer, but we can do it as quick as in 20 minutes.
That's amazing.
And you can book on our website or just walk in. So
20 minutes is like an average wait time at most, let alone actually getting through the entire appointment and being able to like interact with humans and not just sitting in rooms.
Yep.
Gosh, that is so.
Yeah, we try to make it easy.
That's so amazing. Because being a first time tester's empowering, but also a little nerve wracking, if you don't know what you're coming into.
For sure. And a second time tester and a third time tester, I mean, look, like all different, we see people who are nervous and it's first, second, third time getting tested, or something happened that they weren't expecting or whatever it was. Right. And then we have people who get tested all the time. So we see all different types of people and attitudes and
Totally. Yeah. And I think one thing too for this person, if you're nervous for a first time testing and this idea of like, I might have an STI and I don't know it, and finding out that information, I think it's that really important thing to recognize of if you never get tested, you'll never know, and like knowing your status is so powerful because then it gives you the opportunity to make decisions for your health to actually help yourself. You don't know that you might need a treatment or, certain medical advice if you don't know, so it's like, that can be really nerve wracking and it's so important to get that information.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, dear Dr. Z, I am getting back into the dating and hookup scene, but I'm struggling about advocating for myself when it comes to safer sex. I freeze up when asking about STI status and don't advocate for myself in the moment to use condoms. What can I do to make sure that I'm advocating for myself with potential partners without scaring them away?
So I was this person, I was absolutely this person. And I think what we were talking about before, role playing, figuring out what makes sense for you, talking about STIs now, I always just will send people a text. I'm in a long-term monogamous relationship right now, married 10 years, but I would send someone a text and be like, hey, like, let's go get tested together. Or I was tested last month. Do you want to talk about your STI status? Do that either text or over the phone, and then figure out where your own boundaries are and enforce those boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
Those boundaries are different for everyone. And so you just have to figure out what you yourself are comfortable with. If it is using condoms, if it's not using condoms, whatever is right for you. And then figure out how you want to enforce that with your partners.
Totally. Yeah. And I love to... Sometimes in the moment, I've also been that person where I've frozen up and, had interactions that I didn't want to have or had even planned to not have. And then those boundaries were crossed. Yep. And one strategy that I've employed a lot is I, in the heat of the moment, sometimes struggle with advocating for myself. So I send those messages beforehand. Yep. I'm like, hey, here are my boundaries. Yep. Here are my expectations. Yep. So that when they come in, they have that clear agenda set, but then also if something comes up, I feel a lot better talking about it because it's not that I'm introducing it for the first time. Yeah. It's the, hey, remember I said, and that feels easier for me sometimes of like that security behind a screen to have a harder conversation. But then, really trying my best. And that's just been something that I've learned and worked on with myself of like in the moment, being like, no, I'm going to advocate for myself that this is not something that I want right now. And it's hard. It's not easy. It's not an easy skill by any means. And so taking different like steps to help support yourself, like sending that message beforehand,
And then you're both on the same page.
Exactly.
You know?
Doing things like, if you want condom use, bringing a condom, not banking on like the other person to do it. And then it's, I didn't bring one. Sorry. Now there's no condom here. If condom use is something that's really important to you, you know? So it's like things like that can help support you, so that you feel more empowered to advocate for yourself. But it is definitely difficult. And I think sometimes being able to, again, have partners that respect that. And if you send that message and they ignore it and you like resend like, hey, like, did you see what I had sent? And they keep ignoring it, then maybe we don't need to be with that person. Red flag. Yes. They need to be acknowledging your boundaries. But Stephanie, this has been so amazing. Thank you so much for being here. On behalf of all of our team here at Pillow Talk, this takeover was amazing. We're so appreciative to not only have you sharing so much information and resources and just great perspective, but also the work that you're doing here in Denver. So I wanted to give you the opportunity, if you want to plug in anything for TBD Health, so that people, our listeners at home, are aware of it. I wanted to give you that opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, we do at home and in person STI screening. And then we also just launched a free PrEP program. So if you are looking for PrEP, come check us out. And we do testing both at home and in person. So whatever is most comfortable for you.
Hell yeah. And I will say TBD's website is one of the best of like, I'm a person where if I go on a website and it's confusing, I get turned off by it. And y'all's website is so cute. I love the aesthetic of TBD is so just like cute, fun, like, I don't know, just like florals aesthetic. Like y'all have a lot of like floral themes. And so I really appreciate it. Y'all also have a really good newsletter. Like I'm a sucker for a newsletter. It's random, but if you want to learn more things, like y'all have really great blogs that they share out. So be sure to not only have TBD as that back pocket resource, but also if you want to keep learning things and hearing about the different opportunities and resources, stay connected with TBD Health. They're an awesome local resource that we now have and are so grateful for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
And so that means we are wrapping up our episode. Oh, the live studio audience is sad, but it's okay, you guys. Make sure that you are following us online at Pillow Talk Dr. Z. That's Pillow Talk DRZ. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. Wherever you get your podcast, that's where you can come check us out. New episodes are out every Tuesday, so make sure that you have it in your calendar so that you can listen in. And so we want to do a huge thank you again to TBD Health for this beautiful takeover episode. We're so grateful for you all. I want to also give a shout out to Dude IDK Studios. They're the ones producing and editing and doing all the amazing work here. If you're not checking out Dude IDK Studios, please do, not only for your own podcasting needs, but they also do really cute comedy shows in the evenings. So check out their social medias to see those calendars. And on behalf of our entire cast, crew, my name is Dr. Zackarina. Jenny Ho, good night and big balls. Thank you.